For more than 100 years, Harley-Davidson has ruled the American road. But a shocking twist in the motorcycle world is rewriting history, and it's not in Harley's favor. Indian motorcycles, once thought to be a relic of the past, has returned with a vengeance, armed with technology and pricing that Harley never saw coming. This isn't just a rivalry, it's a calculated takeover, and the numbers prove Harley is losing ground fast. By the time you see the full scope of Indian's strategy, you'll realize this battle could end with Harley-Davidson dethroned forever. The revelation, what Indian just announced. Indian motorcycles just lit a fuse under the motorcycle world, and the shockwaves are already being felt from Milwaukee to Mumbai. At its latest reveal, the company rolled out next-generation bikes that combine modern performance, smart technology, and aggressive pricing, and it has Harley-Davidson fans worried. At the center of the news is the return of the Scout 60, powered by a 999cc liquid-cooled engine that produces 85 horsepower and 65 pound-feet of torque. The bike comes in multiple trims, from the base model to the more advanced Limited, which includes ride modes, traction control, and advanced braking systems. Even the base version gets LED lighting, a low seat height, and ABS options, all at a starting price under $10,000 for the bobber variant. For riders priced out of Harley's premium models, this looks like a direct challenge. But the Scout isn't the only next-generation bike Indian is deploying. The company also unveiled the Power Plus 112, a liquid-cooled V-twin that pushes out 126 horsepower and 113 pound-feet of torque. This engine comes with a suite of new rider assist features, such as electronic combined braking and bike hold control, which make heavy cruisers easier and safer to manage. What makes this moment different is how Indian Motorcycles is framing its future. Harley-Davidson stumbled with its Livewire electric brand, which struggled with high prices and unclear branding. Analysts believe Indian's integration with Polaris engineering could give it an edge if it moves quickly into electric cruisers, since Polaris already has experience with batteries and drivetrains in ATVs and snowmobiles. While Indian hasn't announced a full electric lineup yet, observers suggest it's preparing the ground with technology that can transfer from off-road to the open road. Equally important is Indian's focus on customization and modular design. The new platforms aren't one-size-fits-all. Riders can choose between trims, add-on kits, and accessory packages that make their bikes feel personal, a strong contrast to Harley's catalog, which often demands expensive upgrades or loyalty to a rigid model lineup. For a younger generation that values identity and flexibility, Indian's move could pay off big. The century-long rivalry. When Indian Motorcycles first opened its doors in 1901, it wasn't just building machines, it was building national pride. The Springfield Company became America's very first motorcycle manufacturer, and its bikes quickly turned into symbols of speed and modern ambition. But just 3 years later, in 1903, a new name roared to life in Milwaukee, Harley-Davidson. What started as a backyard project between friends would soon become Indian's greatest rival, and eventually the company that would define American motorcycling for most of the 20th century. From the very beginning, it wasn't only about engines or wheels, it was about identity. The Indian stood tall as the pioneer, the original. Harley, though younger, was hungry, and it never stopped running. In its early decades, Indian challenged Harley in many ways, in racing, in design innovation, and in public image. Models like the Scout and Chief made Indian a strong contender, known for reliability and engineering. Then, in 2011, Polaris Industries acquired Indian. That purchase marked the beginning of a serious comeback effort. Polaris brought engineering, manufacturing resources, and capital that earlier revival attempts lacked. By the mid-2010s, Indian was producing new Scouts, Chiefs, and Chieftains with modern tech. It was no longer just a heritage name, but a brand trying to compete with Harley on performance, design, and market appeal. So this rivalry is more than brand comparison. It's a showdown that spans generations. It's not just who's made bigger V-twins anymore. It's who adapts for the future while honoring the past. Indian's revival under Polaris is there to stake a claim, not to exist quietly in the shadows. As this unfolds, observers believe Harley's time of uncontested rule may finally be ending. Indian aims to rewrite not only its own history, but to force Harley to compete in arenas it's long taken for granted. The rivalry is old, but its stakes have never been higher. Harley-Davidson's current struggles. For decades, Harley-Davidson has been the undisputed symbol of American cruising. Big bikes, loud exhausts, leather jackets, the open highway, the image of freedom on two wheels. But today, that image is cracking. The first sign of trouble is the declining sales in its core markets. In North America, Harley's top market, retail sales of its motorcycles fell sharply. In the fourth quarter of 2024, Harley reported a 30% drop in North American retail sales compared to a year earlier, in part because customers held back on big purchases when prices and interest rates rose. In its first quarter of 2024, Harley's profit dropped 23% from a year earlier, as sales slowed and borrowing costs made expensive purchases harder. These problems are especially bad in its heavier premium cruiser bikes, the types Harley is best known for. Then there's the age factor. Harley's core customer base is getting older. Some industry data shows the average Harley rider in the US is now over 50 years old. Younger riders, in contrast, are more interested in lighter, more modern bikes with tech features. Harley has been criticized for relying too heavily on its traditional older fans, rather than building appeal with new riders who care about price, fuel economy, and features like smartphone integration. Harley has also stumbled in its electric efforts. Its Livewire line was meant to be the future, electric bikes that could attract younger and more environmentally conscious riders. But the price tag and the design have been major obstacles. When Livewire was first released, its price was nearly $30,000, which many saw as too high for a first electric Harley. In many cases, dealers reported the orders were coming from existing Harley owners, not new or younger riders. That suggests Livewire is more brand loyalty than market expansion. Beyond that, Harley has had trouble growing outside its core US market. For many riders globally, especially in Asia or regions where smaller bikes are common, Harley's large displacement bikes are expensive not just in price, but in cost of ownership, fuel, maintenance, import duties, size, and handling. That makes them less attractive in emerging and international markets. While Harley has tried to expand in Asia and Europe, these efforts have yielded mixed results. There are financial and investor signals too. In early 2025, Harley issued a forecast that motorcycle revenue might be flat or down about 5%, acknowledging that consumers are cutting back on big-ticket discretionary spending. Inflation, high borrowing rates, and economic uncertainty have made buyers think twice. That dents Harley's ability to push expensive models and premium options, which have traditionally made up much of its profit. Harley is also trying to fix things. It's been rolling out new premium touring bikes, pushing more customization, and focusing on higher margin products to try to maintain profits, even if sales decline. But focusing on higher margin bikes tends to target the same older or more affluent customers. It doesn't do as much to bring in new, younger, or global buyers who buy smaller, cheaper, lighter weight bikes. Industry analysts suggest some underlying issues are strategic. Harley's image is super tied to nostalgia, to tradition, to old-school cruisers. That works with its existing fan base, but it's increasingly a liability with younger people who expect more technology, ride safety features, or eco-friendly options. Some features like ABS, connectivity, and ride modes are now standard elsewhere. Harley has been slower or more expensive to roll them out broadly. Speculatively, many analysts believe that Harley's brand image, rooted in tradition, large displacement cruisers, and American heritage, is increasingly mismatched with a global market shifting toward lighter bikes, lower cost, tech features, and environmental concerns. If Harley doesn't respond strongly in those areas, its edge in its traditional market could gradually erode, and it may find itself losing growth to competitors who are quicker, cheaper, and more in tune with younger or international buyers. As a result, at the very moment Indian and others are stepping up with performance electric models, aggressive pricing, and better technology, Harley is looking more vulnerable than at many points in its history. The stage is being set for a showdown. Harley's strengths are real, but its weakening sales and slipping hold on new riders in global markets leave it exposed. Indian's new strategy: performance, electrification, affordability. Indian isn't here to play nice anymore. It's not polishing chrome and hoping riders notice. This is a full-on attack plan aimed straight at Harley-Davidson's soft spots, wrapped in 3 shiny packages: performance, electrification, and affordability. A key part of that strategy is reaching younger riders in markets where smaller, lighter bikes make more sense. In places where fuel is costly or streets are tight, massive cruisers lose appeal. By focusing on the 1000cc Entry Plus category, Indian positions its Scout 60 models as serious yet approachable, balancing power, features, seat height, and price to hit a sweet spot. Industry watchers suggest this blend could finally chip away at Harley's grip on cruiser culture. Harley leans on its legacy of big, loud, premium bikes, but those come with high costs, heavy frames, and less relevance in urban settings. Indian, by contrast, is pushing toward usability, modern tech, lighter weight, and future readiness, exactly where Harley has struggled. The risk for Indian is execution. delivering reliable, fairly priced machines worldwide with proper supply chains, battery support for EVs, and compliance with tightening regulations is no easy task. The strategy looks sharp, but success isn't guaranteed. Still, with models priced around the $10,000 mark and packed with real performance, Indian could lure riders who once dreamed of a Harley but balked at the price, or those who want modern handling over bulk and nostalgia. For the next generation especially, Indian's offer looks far more relevant. Technology and performance edge. This is where Indian stops playing catch-up and starts pulling ahead. Indian is introducing a strong new wave of rider assist technology. Their rider assist features now include things like bike hold control, blind spot warning, tailgate warning, rear collision warning, and an electronic combined brake system. These systems are built into their new Power Plus 112 engine line. Bike hold control helps the bike stay stationary on hills without rolling backwards. The electronic combined brake system balances front and rear braking pressure based on the rider's input, which helps to ensure safer braking in emergencies or tough conditions. They're bundling these with Smart Lean technology, which adjusts ABS, traction control, cornering, and drag torque, all tuned to the bike's lean angle. That means when you tilt into a curve, the tech can adjust how brakes and traction assist behave to match the lean, improving safety and control. Also, Indian includes a large touchscreen display of 178mm with Ride Command Plus, Bluetooth connectivity, and a built-in telecommunications unit, TCU, that supports navigation, Apple CarPlay, bike health monitoring, bike locator, etc. These infotainment and connectivity features add tech that younger riders expect. Polaris isn't just a motorcycle company. It has deep roots in off-road vehicles, snowmobiles, utility, and power sports engineering. That gives Indian access to a large engineering base with experience in rugged terrain, cold conditions, dynamic stability, suspension systems, and drivetrain durability. Indian's rider assist features suggest this transfer is happening, especially in how combined braking, lean-aware traction control, and vehicle stability warnings are packaged. The Smart Lean technology is a direct signal that Indian is optimizing how motorbikes behave in corners, braking under lean, and dynamic stability. These areas are harder than simply straight-line performance. They require sophisticated sensors and control logic. Indian is investing there. Beyond safety tech, Indian is raising performance standards. The new Power Plus 112 engine is liquid-cooled with overhead cams and 4 valves per cylinder. It delivers around 122 horsepower and high torque, aimed at giving strong, usable power across gears, not just a strong sprint. Indian says performance is more sustainable now, power that holds up during long rides and in hotter or tougher conditions. They also improved the chassis components: better frame geometry, stiffer frames, inverted front forks, and radial-mounted Brembo brakes on the high-end touring bagger models. These features help control at higher speeds, provide better braking safety, and offer a smoother ride feel. Some observers believe Harley-Davidson has underestimated how much riders want modern tech. For decades, its strength has been heritage, sound, big displacement, and a lifestyle image. But as technology becomes standard in cars, bikes are expected to catch up. Safety features, connectivity, smartphone integration. Riders entering the market often compare specs like ABS, blind spot warning, display tech, not just brand name. When Indian puts these features into its bikes, that's appealing, especially to younger riders or those used to tech in daily life. Industry insiders suggest that Indian's tech push could shift the base expectations for what a cruiser should have. If an Indian bike at a reasonable price includes blind spot warning, lean-aware ABS, and modern display plus connectivity, then Harley's offering must match or risk being seen as lagging. This kind of feature creep can change the value equation, not just for hardcore fans, but for all riders. This technology edge plays into real weaknesses in Harley's current lineup. Bikes with older tech or fewer safety aids are less attractive to riders who want more than just tradition. Also, features like combined braking or enhanced ABS matter in safety laws or ratings. As Indian include more of them, in both rider ease and safety, their bikes may win over riders who might have considered a Harley but preferred something safer or more modern for the money. For performance, power, and handling improvements, give Indian bikes credibility among riders who value ride dynamics, not just style or roar. The new Power Plus line shows Indian is pushing on performance that isn't just nostalgic, but usable. So, with all this tech and performance stepping up, what comes next is how the market reacts. Pricing, dealer feedback, buyer preferences. Are riders showing up to buy these new, tech-rich Indian bikes? Are investors or stock markets shifting value? Market shockwaves. When Indian dropped its announcement, the motorcycle world didn't just nod politely. It gasped. The shockwaves were instant. Investors, dealers, and riders all started asking the same thing. If Indian is moving this fast, can Harley-Davidson even keep up? Wall Street was the first to flinch. Harley-Davidson's stock, which already had been struggling with slow growth, dipped slightly in the days following Indian's news. It wasn't a freefall, but it was enough to raise eyebrows. For investors, confidence matters as much as raw sales numbers. And the concern was simple. If Harley was already having trouble connecting with younger buyers, what would happen when Indian starts delivering tech-heavy bikes at competitive prices? Harley's own financial filings have painted a difficult picture. U.S. sales dropped in 2023 by more than 10%, and revenue growth in international markets hasn't been strong enough to balance that decline. Investors know this, and when Indian came forward with a fresh lineup, the timing couldn't have been worse for Milwaukee's most famous brand. It's not just the stock market, it's also what's happening on dealership floors. According to multiple dealer reports, younger riders are showing more interest in Indian's Scout and FTR models than Harley's entry options. A 2024 survey by Motorcycle Industry Council found that riders under 35 consistently rank price and performance as their top buying concerns, while older riders put more weight on brand heritage. That matters because Harley has long relied on heritage. But if the new generation is walking into dealerships and finding that Indian offers more horsepower, modern tech, and a lower price tag, then Harley's legendary brand name suddenly doesn't stretch as far as it used to. Take the Indian Scout Rogue 60, for example. It's lighter, powerful, and priced thousands below Harley's comparable Sportster line. Dealers have reported riders who come in looking for a Harley, but ride out with a Scout because it feels fresher and friendlier on the wallet. Industry analysts have started sounding alarms about Harley's vulnerabilities. UBS analyst Robin Farley noted that Harley is still overexposed to heavyweight models and underexposed in growth categories like small and mid-size bikes. That was before Indian's announcement. With new entry-level bikes in the pipeline, Indian is striking right at Harley's soft spot. Some insiders argue Harley may not have enough flexibility left to respond quickly. Their brand is tied so tightly to heavyweight cruisers that pivoting toward affordability and tech risks alienating their loyal core. In contrast, Indian has less to lose and more to gain, giving them freedom to experiment. The shockwaves are not just about today's sales, they're about tomorrow's riders. If Indian can grab loyalty early from 20 and 30-year-olds, those customers may stick for decades. And that's exactly the opportunity Harley risks losing. Think about it. Harley riders in the 1980s often stayed loyal for life, buying model after model. But if the new wave of riders sees Indian as the brand that gives them tech, power, and price without compromise, they may never even consider Harley. That's not just a quarterly problem, that's a generational one. And that's why Indian's announcement shook the market so deeply. It wasn't just about one model or 1 year of sales. It was about a bigger question: who will own the next generation of motorcycle culture? Fans and cultural impact. Harley-Davidson has never just sold motorcycles. They've sold rebellion, the leather jacket, the open road, the brotherhood. For decades, that image was bulletproof, bigger than horsepower, louder than chrome. The sound of the V-twin engine, the leather vests, the black and orange logos, all of it created an identity that riders carried with pride. Harley's advertising leaned into this, portraying its bikes as tickets to freedom and symbols of American rebellion. That identity helped Harley weather economic downturns and foreign competition for years, but it was also rooted in baby boomer culture. As that generation ages, the brand's cultural capital is slipping and Indian sees an opening. But here's the twist. That same image Harley built its empire on, Indian is starting to wear it too, and they're wearing it well. Indian isn't just releasing motorcycles, it's making a play for Harley's cultural turf. Instead of only leaning on heritage, Indian is reaching into spaces that matter to younger riders. By aligning with these worlds, Indian is positioning itself as the bike of choice for a generation that values experience and culture as much as horsepower. Some observers argue that Indian's cultural push is no accident. It's a direct attempt to steal Harley's outlaw cool and remake it for a new age. Where Harley once owned the open highway, Indian wants to own the music festival stage, the YouTube stunt clip, and the Instagram-ready adventure ride. In an era where social media is as important as advertising, this kind of brand placement matters. Indian is leaning into that shift, making its bikes feel modern and plugged into cultural conversations. For Harley, this is dangerous ground. Its cultural identity is its strongest asset. Harley gear, Harley clubs, Harley rallies. These are what keep riders loyal even when competitors build faster, cheaper, or more advanced bikes. But if Indian succeeds in giving younger riders a fresh cultural identity, Harley could find itself trapped in a shrinking demographic. Older riders will always love the brand, but if younger generations see Harley as their parents' bike, the cultural shift could be devastating. This rivalry isn't just about machines anymore. It's about who gets to define freedom, rebellion, and belonging in the next generation of riders. Harley built that image over a century, but Indian is proving it can rewrite the story and do it fast. The emotional weight here is massive. Fans don't just cheer for their favorite bike, they live it. They tattoo it on their arms, they wear it on their backs, they form lifelong friendships around it. If Indian can capture even part of that emotional loyalty, Harley won't just lose market share, it could lose its very soul. And that brings us to the final shocking truth. Because when you line up all of Indian's moves, it all connects back to one strategy. The question isn't whether Indian wants to compete with Harley. The question is whether Indian wants to crush Harley's future entirely. The golden thread reveal. This is where it all comes together. Every move Indian has made, and every step we've tracked so far, isn't random. Because when you look at Indian's moves one by one, first the performance edge, then the entry-level lure, then electrification, and finally the cultural invasion, it might feel like separate battles. But Indian isn't just fighting Harley on different fronts. It's weaving them into a single, deliberate strategy. A golden thread that, if successful, could pull Harley-Davidson's entire empire apart. Market analysts have already noted this trend. In 2024, Forbes pointed out that Harley's US market share slipped again, while Indian posted gains in key segments. Industry insiders say this isn't a blip, it's the result of Indian executing its strategy, while Harley continues to rely too heavily on brand nostalgia. Even Harley loyalists are admitting the threat. On biker forums, longtime riders debate whether Harley is still the symbol of freedom, or whether Indian has managed to reinvent that meaning for a new era. This isn't just business, this is cultural inheritance. Harley built a legend around rebellion, but legends only last as long as new generations believe in them. And if Indian can convince the next wave of riders that their bikes, their culture, and their vision of freedom are more relevant, then Harley's century-long story could end not with a bang, but with a slow fade into memory. Imagine it. Rallies once flooded with Harley riders now filled with Indian bikes. Leather jackets, once branded in Harley orange, are now replaced by Indian's deep red and cream. The soundtrack of the open road shifts from the familiar Harley rumble to the sharper growl of Indian's new machines. So this is it. Indian isn't trying to win by being better at one thing. It's trying to be just good enough at everything Harley isn't. Performance, affordability, future readiness, cultural relevance, Indian's strategy is to patch every hole in Harley's armor until there's nowhere left to stand. So here we are. The oldest rivalry in American motorcycling has been reignited with more intensity than ever before. And the stakes couldn't be higher. If Indian succeeds, Harley-Davidson won't just lose sales, it could lose its soul, its place in American mythology, its roar on the open highway. And that leaves us with the only question that really matters. Can Harley-Davidson reinvent itself in time, or will Indian finally ride off with the crown that Harley's held for over a century? Thanks for watching.